Hey, welcome back. How's everybody doing?
Hey,
Hello, it's another Sunday.
yeah.
Awesome. First day of the
Howdy,
week.
everyone.
Last day of the week.
So we have a guest speaker today. Levy, I'm going to turn it over to you for introduction since you know our
Oh, yeah.
guest today.
I'd like to thank you both to allow this to happen and like to welcome my buddy from Ireland, Balázs. We met in Ireland a couple of years ago, maybe
Couple of
more than a
decades, you could
decade
say.
ago. But anyhow, we've worked together, and then our life got separated, and we end up both in different fields that we than where we started from, because he also got some AI in his life now. So I was thinking that maybe his point of view would be interesting addition to our topics, and because we should put some human in the algorithm as well. So he's very much in the human side. He's not dealing with the technicalities in the background, but he's on the user side. So I would like to thank you both to welcome him here, and let's hear from you, Balázs. Who
Hey,
you?
Thank you
welcome,
very
Balázs.
much. Thank you very much, first of all, for the opportunity and the invitation. And yes, as you pointed out, I work in a very different field. I don't have any expertise from technical side. I'm on a user side, and I'm experienced working in a pharmaceutical, big pharmaceutical organizations in supply chain management. I am kind of exposed to and subject to that push from AI implementation and use every day. So I suppose, yes, I could probably um, explain some different perspectives. You might be on one side, while in some aspects I would be on the other side.
Balázs, from your perspective inside of pharma, where is AI actually showing up in your day-to-day work, and what parts of that surprised you the most?
As you would expect, mostly shows up in forecasting, scenario analysis, using for transportation route selections, where we work with a large amount of data and we have enough historical data information for decision making. However, still, it is really unknown, and we're just trying to find where we can leverage and get the most value out of it. And for that reason, it's really just we're just exploring the possibilities, opportunities. We can use it for different levels, but certainly there is a lot of push and is a lot of attention and trainings and development in this area. Right?
It's awesome. Is this mostly generative AI, or are you guys
Indeed.
delving into creating, agents?
Yeah, well, for the largest or the most people who are empowered or supported to use it, we're still trying to find where we can use it. So I think training is really behind, considering how much people has access to it and emphasize on using it.
Balázs, you mentioned that you're using it mostly for logistics and
Mhm.
trying to predict, right? Which route to go and deliver products, whatever those products are in the pharmaceutical area. Is it the way that you are, like you said, you are collecting the historical data? That's awesome, and I'm guessing that there is some kind of analysis. I don't know. Is it AI is collecting the data from multiple sources and the human is analyzing it, or are you allowing AI to analyze the data that you have and based on that giving you some kind of suggestions for improvements?
That is a very interesting topic, because what I see the most in my everyday life is the different kind of systems are used. So we have a lot of different systems using, and they very often they don't talk to each other. And the data, even though the data is in there, but to access it and being available for AI to use, that's where the difficulty lies. So in pharmas, there is a lot of acquisitions, and then a much very often there would be product shelf life, product life cycle changes, and between the two. So, for example, we are acquiring an organization using one ERP system, we are using another one, so we have to switch from one to another. So, at the moment, I don't really see how and when is it going to be actually standardized enough to allow AI to take it from, to access it from there. So even with us, where I think our organization is quite advanced compared to the mass there, we still, I don't know, like on a daily basis, we would be between SAP, Oracle, Power BI, Tableau, at least 2, 3 different other dashboards using. So to your question, the most honest answer would be, I don't know.
But you
No,
see
that's
this. Sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say this is actually where AI would excel, to be honest. When there are multiple different subsystems that have to be used to produce data, AI is much more capable than any human to use at the same time Tableau, Oracle, SQL, NoSQL, Excel sheet, Word documents, PDF, whatnot, and you can throw at it, with a shovel, and then let it just sort it out. I
wow.
understand there can be mapping issues, right? I mean, you still have to teach it how to understand the data, but I think that's where mostly AI could be utilized when there are accusations, as you say, that no
Acquisitions.
acquisitions.
Acquisition.
There are accusations for sure, but
That as
yeah,
well.
yeah. No, sorry, it's a Hungarian. My Hungarian Tourette came out. Yeah, lots of accusations going on here. But anyway, so when there are multiple different companies with different standards and different ways of doing the same thing, maybe that's where AI could be very helpful, because it would accelerate the actual alignment, or not even alignment, because you can still use your own systems there and here your other systems, and then it can be a bridge between the different data pools, and make like a hypervisor for VMs. Yeah, that's IT thing. But anyway, so it's just put a
Philosophy.
layer on top of all the upstream data feeds. Put a layer in it which is AI, and then from the top you can access any one of them, and you can only use like human-friendly search methods to find data in any of the downstream applications or downstream data pools. That's just
And
popped
on
in
top
my
of
mind.
that, Levi, it's true. And on top of that, with AI, you could build up a user interface as well pretty easily. Instead of taking like it was 10 years ago, taking like months, it can do for you like in a couple of hours or in a
Yeah,
couple of weeks, you can get
for
to an
sure.
end result that you would like to see.
Then you
But the
troubleshoot
point
for
is,
months, but that's okay.
To see,
that's a
you see
different story.
what I what I experience here is I give you a practical example. That's all brilliant. We can get the system to have access to the data in all of them, all of these applications, and give us a good forecast. Well, we are actually wasting a lot more time on, for example, moving from Oracle to SOP. So we have to create all master data in SAP manually still,
Mm,
and
yeah.
whatever other tasks are related to this, from change controls to, I don't even know, to finance involvements, to a lot of other people when you need to work. There is a lot more time to work this out and make it happen. And then, like you said, troubleshooting afterwards, there is always a lot of issues because it's all done manually. I think there is a lot more to win there
Yeah, there is.
than
So just really quickly, last year I worked with a company that does a lot of supply chain management. The emphasis for me with that work was looking at the last mile delivery. And I don't typically name vendors, but there's a vendor called Bring. Bring does last mile delivery coordination for retail, and that solution can overlay and integrate with your SaaS solutions, with your mainframes, with any distributed system. So you get all the mixture technologies that come together, and they build a product that tries to overlay all of them and control and help manage that last mile delivery aspect, not the actual procurement aspects, but the last mile delivery. They do have the ability to look into your inventory and what's going on. Are you developing something like that, or are you
that's
using a vendor like that?
that something is definitely important, but something is way too far from us. We don't care about that aspect. I'm only looking at delivery up to a distribution center. Anything
Okay,
behind that, we just use 3PLs for that. It's not our core
okay.
business. So it is very important, but it's a different side of the business than what I'm involved in.
Okay, yeah, now that clarifies for me what your focus
And
is.
from what we do is, for example, we are shipping in reefer containers to the US. There isn't, so if we're talking about shipping our products to the DC in the US from Ireland, we could be charged, depending on, like, for example, in COVID times, we could be charged for a 40-foot container for $40,000.
Yeah.
Right now, it's $15,000. So there is, but it, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but that's not a high priority. The high priority is to make it happen, and it's there, where and when we need it. So from the level where I work, that lost my time. I don't have visibility to it, and we don't really worried about.
No, it's all good. It makes sense. In fact, I did share an article with you guys here in the platform from Forbes magazine, Forbes News, whatever this page was. Basically, Palantir, if you're familiar with Palantir in the US, is looking at elements of SaaS and declaring it dead. They're customizing their solutions for solving problems like you're describing, rather than taking these big out-of-the-box solutions and trying to integrate them together, creating the solution that knows where to find, like Levy pointed out, where does it find the pieces of information you need for what you're working on? So it's a pretty dynamic field.
It is, but like I said, I give you an example again. Um, different route scenarios, what route we should travel, and that's the shortest and most effective. It's brilliant in theory, but in reality, when we have everything beautifully planned out, and then we can't get a trucker to go from one port to a distribution center, and then it's going to be down to the
Yeah,
reality is, okay, we're going to take any route you will take. We just want to put
Yeah,
it there.
you would need
well,
to look at traffic patterns and days and nights and
and
whatsoever.
that's kind of what I was bring the solution for last mile delivery, because that's what its emphasis is. It optimizes route for delivery, so it tells the person responsible for the delivery, take this route. But then the human element comes in. I live in this area. I know the last mile in this area. I know the route you're giving me today, either this construction or something unknown to bring, that's going to make this route not the best. And I'm going to go the route I know because I've drive it or something. So the human element is always there. And in your case there, maybe the trucker knows a different path, or maybe the trucker doesn't care. I don't know what it can be that's the breakdown between technology and people, but it's interesting. It's a pretty interesting challenge. So is your role to try to help solve for that, or are you just focused only
No.
on?
No, I am in my current role. I work with CMOs, contracted manufacturing organizations. So this company's external manufacturing headquarter is in Ireland. So I'm responsible for certain brands and the factories they are manufactured in
Gotcha.
across Europe mainly. What I work with mainly, well, it's a lot of supplier and customer relationship management. But in the other hand, and that's where I could probably use AI a lot more, is optimization. So where are common materials in different factories, where we use obviously the higher value materials, and how we can
Yeah.
optimize the use of these.
That was going to be the next part of my question. Are you using AI to help you solve or answer those questions?
No, not yet. So first it was implemented to be used with, I suppose it's more of a obvious application is with production planning. And I don't know how mature it is because I don't do that, but I think it will eventually cascade down to my level.
Yeah, so sooner or later, definitely. My other question, or my question to you, Balaj, is at work on a personal level, how do you use AI? Because you said that you're on the user side, right? So not on the technology side.
Correct.
So what do you use it for, and how does it help you? Because you were mentioning Copilot as well at some point.
Yes, I use, in my personal life, I use ChatGPT mostly. I used it a lot for my college work. I can't, if I'm very honest, I can't even imagine how people used to complete master level degrees, researches, and all the literature reviews, because I've done it in 4 months. And if I had to, like, go back 20 years, if I had to go to a library and find the relevant literature, books, journal papers, and use them for my research, that would take months and years even.
Yeah.
Because so in that
Common.
in that application, it is unbelievable big help.
Yeah.
I do realize that there might be some content that I may lose because of AI didn't pick it up for me, but still the efficiency is just uncomparable. Other than that, there isn't really anything. Well, I use just for very simple everyday stuff. From building my next training plan, give them the specifics. It's actually, yeah, I used to spend significant amount of money and time traveling to gyms where it's very well done now. But I think that's really it. Yeah, I used to have conversations, but then very soon I realized it's just way too generic and very easy to fall into the trap of having way too biased opinions or recommendations.
That's what we
So
talked about
that's,
last week, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
very
we've talked
great
about it
question.
many times.
It's a very smart
Yeah.
question that you.
Well, I'll give you a quick example from our perspective. 2018 joined, we were all the same company. It joined in 2018, late 2018. 2019, some of the first tasks I had was really to create standard operating procedures for a very disorganized, highly distributed division within the company we worked for. And so I spent about 3 months pulling sources from the internet to back up what I had written. But I wrote basically templates for what eventually became our incident response team. Didn't like the name incident response in our context because IRT or incident response, from my perspective, is more generally aligned with cybersecurity. But we went with it, and that's what we used. Well, in that era, 2019, 2020, it was a lot of time, and Judah she can attest, Levy can attest to how much time it took to create this documentation. Well, today, I still use those documents as templates, but now I go into, for this task, I prefer Claude. I go into Claude and I say, hey, I need to do an annual review for the content, find anything that's changed, give me a citation for the sources, and in 30 seconds to a minute, I've got my update validating what I wrote 6 years ago is still valid or suggesting corrections. I agree with you. I don't know how I would do it today if I had to keep writing that stuff and spending a couple months at a time trying to get it all right for something that barely gets read. In our case, right? We had to store these things in a shared repository, but I could tell you I didn't think half the team was even reading it if they knew it existed. So I agree with you 100% on that. And I know we have a little previous episode where there might be some disagreement with somebody's daughter in the value of using AI for content creation. At the same time, I think you're right. It's valuable in that context.
It is, but then sorry, Balázs, but I'm gonna challenge it again. Like we said it so many times, it has its AI and all these automated solutions that we are talking about. They all have their benefits, but at the same time, going back to the human element of it, if you think about our kids or even ourselves, right? You don't need to think that much as you had to in the past. What does it do with the brain cells?
Yeah, well,
And your competencies?
There is something I found very, very interesting, and I can't explain it, but I just identified it in myself. Using the navigation system, I used to be proud of my skills to navigate around anywhere. Using the GPS in the car, I don't even know where I am anymore. Totally lost anywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
touching right on
Eye
what
on
we've
the
talked
map.
about.
Yep.
Using AI for email drafting, it's the opposite. My writing skills definitely significantly improved since I'm using it.
because you're
I
debugging
can't
what.
explain.
Yeah, the value
Yeah.
I
add
don't
is
know.
But
you're
I can't
not
creating.
explain.
everybody is doing that is the
Yeah.
point, right?
As long
We
as
talked
you're
about
creating
it.
the content, you retain the skills. Now you can polish it with AI. But Levy had a great example. He said, throw them in the woods and have them show that they can survive. They can't. Take their phone away from them, and what are our kids today going to do?
Yeah.
That brings another interesting debate. I just had this conversation with someone recently. Yes, everybody knows that by now. In 10 years' time, we don't even know what skills and professions will exist. And so what direction we trying to drive our kids into, where they're going to excel or where they're going to do well. And that's fine. Some would say, like, now it's the time to learn to be a plumber because they're going to make huge money because nobody knows the manual skills. Yes, but in the other hand, I don't have any manual skills, but I do 10 times more at home because I have access to YouTube tutorials, whatever. And then at the other hand, all the tools and the material they're used in construction, for example, they are a lot more user friendly and pretty much a monkey could put a piping work together in a house now.
But it's again, Balázs, that's a great point. But for that, You need to have the attitude and the willingness to start fixing
That's
the plumbing,
true. Yeah.
right? And not everybody is willing to put the effort in it. So that's why it's easier to become a plumber, because 90% of the people are going to call that, hey, something went wrong, come out, right? You're probably in the 10%, I'm in the 10%, Levy and Troy, you're in that 10% as well. Because we would try ourselves, do our research, do our digging, and then AI and all those brave newer things are going to help us.
Because
But
we
again,
grew
the
up in a
majority of
place.
the people are not going to do it.
Yeah. But
And they are not going to check either, back to Troy's point.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Levy.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that we grew up in a place where it wasn't readily available. So you either had to go to the library and search for things and knowledge, and you probably wouldn't even find it because the level would be such a higher level, and then you have to attend a school to learn some new skills. While now for us it's a gold mine because there are YouTube tutorials for everything. So there's a guy showing you how to do it, there's 10 guys showing you how to do it, and then you can pick whichever you want to go with. But the thing is that you have this eagerness to do it yourself with your bare hands because it gives you an adrenaline rush that you did something, and dopamine
No,
hit
that's
that
you.
you did.
That's
No, but you did that too.
that's
It's
you,
not
Levy.
just that.
Come
I
on.
do the same thing as well, and
We
it's
all
not giving me adrenaline.
we all
It's
we
just
all
So,
what we like.
and that's kind of a limitation in business as well, is that you have all this tribal knowledge that gets stored up in people's heads and it's not transferred anywhere where it's reusable. I'll give you a quick example. When I was in the Army, something was passed down to me. You're driving multi-million dollar systems, right? Vehicles that cost, for the rig, it's multi-million dollars. In my case, it was a comms rig. And I had to have a $5 wooden broom. And the reason I had to have that broom in the truck with me was because tribal knowledge passed down to me. You're going to encounter this problem that's unique. The solution, you smack the starter with the broom handle and it fixes it. So that kind of knowledge, you don't just find that stuff, and I don't know how well it's
That's
collected.
for sure.
That's a simple example of tribal knowledge and the value of it. And what I've seen today is that a lot of the CEOs are advocating to implement AI everything, and are discarding all the tribal knowledge they've accumulated. Yeah. Nobody's captured it.
Yeah, generic knowledge for good, and you don't need to be unique.
It's the same thing. Remember, I think I told you this. It's the same thing. Nothing to do with AI, but just the experience, the human experience, and the knowledge that you're taking with you. I was with that company that Levy was working for as well for 17 years, and I had 30 days notice period, right, before I went to the other one. So I handed in my notice, and I said, and we were like, okay, it's 1 month, and I was asked to hand over everything that I know. How do you hand over everything that the information that you get? Yeah, it's plug in a USB and give it. That's the same thing that you were talking about now, Troy. And they instead of trying to match or give a counter offer, not that I was looking for a counter offer, they just said that, hey, hand over everything to whoever. You cannot hand over human relationships, right? You can whatever you built so far with all those people in the 17 years, you can't. Everything that you experienced, and again, not documented because it was common knowledge, like in your case, you can't. But if a new person is coming in, it's not going to know it. And then everybody else, they either going to tell them or they are not going to tell them. These are the two options. The knowledge is gone.
Yeah.
And I would advocate. Sorry, go ahead, Balash.
No.
I was just going to make a smart aleck comment. I would advocate, being a plumber is a shitty job. Maybe be an electrician instead.
Yeah, pun intended, huh? I just wanted to segue a bit back to, or not segue, but just go back a bit on that diploma or the thesis thing, how much time you spent on researching and how could it be done in the past. But don't you think that maybe, and it's just my gut feeling, that maybe the level of expertise expected from people because every information is so readily available, it's significantly higher than what it was like 20-30 years ago. So to get the same level diploma that you got in the or 70s, you might have to put in a lot more work, not really more work, the same amount of work, but you will have to do it on a much higher level, because you should get all those data and information processed, because it's just there for you. So I would think that 40 years ago you could get away with some childish thoughts in your thesis, because how would you know? You don't have 40 years of experience. But right now you should know, because it's there. 55 papers talk about it in the past 25 years. How wouldn't you know about it? And
Yeah,
because
I
you
don't
should
think it's
know about it. You don't think so?
um I get where you're coming from, but I don't think it's that way, because 20, 30 years ago, like you guys said it, you needed to go into the library and you needed to know exactly what you were looking for, which book you were looking for, just to be able to gather that information that you need, and you needed to read through it to determine whether you need it or not, or that's what you're looking for. Right now, you put in a prompt or whatsoever, it's gonna throw out to you like 50 different articles, but you don't know if the 50 different articles are the ones that you need,
Yeah, but I'm
right?
thinking about, I'm
No,
So
coming from mathematical point of view. So you see, I mean, 100 years ago, if you could make a logarithmic calculation, you would be a king. Right now, it's nothing, because your watch can do it. So it's like there's some technological supplements that we all got, and no matter if you want to use it or not, you have to use it, because if you don't use it, you won't get away with it. Oh, but I'm doing it by hand.
well, that's an interesting thing because that
that's
often, and from that aspect, I think the education is the very, very interesting stage now, is because obviously very often it came up in the university that we cannot generate text using AI. But of course, you have to use AI, otherwise, you are way behind of everybody else. So, if we are talking about education, current education, you have to use AI because why wouldn't you use the best available or at least utilize such a strong tool? On the other hand, you still have to have the knowledge. So where do you draw the line? What is it allowed to use and to be used and what's not? So you have to complete this. They call it academic integrity form and exactly detail to the very details, even down to the prompt, what prompt you used when you used AI. But still, I think, well, of course, I'm not expert enough, but what I know and see is sooner or later it has to go back to actual verbal tests to complete because it's almost impossible now to distinguish whether it's a person's
yeah.
work or it is not. Like
Yeah.
we were sent out letters to very strictly give us the guidelines of the AI usage. And just out of interest, I copy pasted it into a scanner, and it came back 100% AI generated.
That's the funny part that my daughter was talking about as well, right? She's in college and they needed to write something. She submitted it, and then the teacher came back saying that the AI detector detected, I don't know, 70
Mm.
something percent. She did it herself, but because like you living in another country using another language, the only thing that she was using was the Grammarly because of certain words that she
Yep.
needed, right? And make it
Yep.
flow the way, but using her own words. So she needed to go there and prove it. And then the next time it came back again, but something is not right with the AI detector as well, because it's, I don't know what prompt it's giving to them, but she, like I said, she was writing it herself directly
Yeah,
and not using
but
AI to generate the content.
this is subjective as
Yeah,
opposed
that's true.
to things like a sandbox arena or Turnitin. Turnitin, you familiar with Turnitin? So before you submit something, you can upload it into Turnitin, and it will come back and give you exactly the plagiarism level. So it will give you like the 15%
Mm.
of plagiarism, and will exactly highlight the part and where it's taken from. But that is objective. It's there. You can exactly see it's in another submitted journal or book somewhere. With the AI generation, it's subjective. Like, I think it could be AI generated. Yeah, it could or it couldn't, but that's
I think the limitations are that they're pattern recognition solutions, right? So if you have the same cadence, if you have the same paragraph structures, same number of paragraphs that AI already knows exists in AI generated content, it'll flag it. I did a After we had this discussion with Judith's daughter on an earlier podcast. I did a quick assessment of something I wrote. I wrote it.
Mm.
And like Judith Stoddard, I used Grammarly to make the language read nice.
Yes.
It came back 76% chance likelihood that it was AI generated. I was
You
like,
see, and
I wrote it.
that's the thing. Kids nowadays, they will use AI to search, and they will get back the AI results. They will read the AI results. They will memorize the way it flows, and then they will generate
Apply it.
their own mind. They will apply the same logical steps and structure with their own original work. So it will
Great
eventually,
point.
once we are off the charts, who never learned with AI as a child, or those people became mainstream who learned with AI on their side, it's going to become meaningless. So my point was a couple of days back when we were talking about this, and I was saying that, and I still think ever so strongly that to be 100% sure that the person is not, no, not 100%, but a high percentage sure that you're
Possible.
not, yeah, to reduce the possibility of using AIs just to get away with knowledge, is to have much more face-to-face contact with the student-teacher
Absolutely.
contact. Let's reduce the
Like the life
number of
study.
students belong to one teacher, and that teacher should know that person, first name basis, and then they can say that, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's not experienced, he's not an
Yeah,
expert
but
yet, but he's
you see,
aware of
I
the
think
things going on.
fair enough, but there is one important thing you just jumped over is you say let's reduce the number of students or assigned to one teacher. Well, it sounds simple, but it isn't, because we have
It isn't. Yeah.
increasing number of students in third level education, and I don't think the number of teachers are increasing at the same rate. So realistically, I don't know if that's feasible.
But then there can be like a counter, so it can be resolved without actual teachers, like
So what I was
professors
going to say,
included.
I think one option is what happened with the University of Limerick, where I worked with, is after the thesis submitted, a few weeks later, like the how you call it, we had it's called the thesis presentation. Sorry, I'm looking for a word, I can't remember. Thesis presentation. So you prepare a 3 minutes, strictly 3 minutes presentation on your thesis,
Capstone.
and then the academic board will ask you questions. They only have 10 minutes because everyone has a 15-minute slot. They have 10 minutes, but they know exactly what questions to ask. And
Oh,
that will give them.
when I was in college, it was the same way. We needed to submit it. It wasn't for MBA; it was just bachelor degree, but it was the same way. We needed to submit it, go there face to face, and then they asked their questions, and based on that, they decided. Back to what Levi said. It was the NU as well, Balaji. It was the same thing for my daughter as well. The teacher didn't know her that much. She needed to go there, give all the proof and everything that I know English very well in order to be able to write this, from high school in Hungary, from high school here, and so on and so forth. And then they started to have that kind of conversation, getting to know each other, right? And that was the important piece, because the next time when she submitted her work and it came back that, now 60 something percent only, the teacher still flagged it. She responded to her, and then the teacher was like, yeah, I know you can write it by yourself as well, so I know that it wasn't
So in
AI,
this,
but you needed to go through those hoops at the beginning.
okay, so the scanner alone is not used alone to judge the work, but at least as a filter. So, for example, to your example, Levi, you could still have, I'm just saying a number out of nowhere, like 100 teacher with 100 student with one teacher, but he is not going to talk individually to all 100 teachers, but the ones that are picked up with the scanner.
Excellent
You
point.
need to then the teacher need to pull the person in and start to have a conversation to be able to determine whether that person has the kind of knowledge to be able to write what he or she sent in. Again, just like it was in our case or my daughter's case.
But the student have to take the initiative to not to just take the punch, but be a bit more assertive and go after it and tell the
Stand up for him or
teacher that,
herself.
yeah, that I know this, so I'm not going to just roll over and take the punishment for something I haven't done. And that's a very peculiar age, right? When these students are, maybe they are not in that mindset as of yet. But what I
Which
was
again,
thinking, you see how to prove that somebody is capable of something and not face-to-face contact or one-on-one contact is like, you remember when before Google got screwed up, the search engine, how it was determining which page is the best for your search or the best result for your search. No,
Sponsors.
I said before it got screwed up. So the point was that Google was crawling. There were some automated scripts. They were crawling every website, and then it determined which website is pointing to different websites, like linking to different websites. And then it was like weighting the value of that link. So how much information does it require or pass on to that other site? And then if a lot of sites pointing to you, then you would weight it as a more reliable source of information in that regard. So that's how it was weighting. And if a lot of students are weighted the same way, then or maybe judged the same way. I'm not saying that search engines would be, but there can be a lot of different ways of doing it. Then it can be a reliable solution on determining whether a person is reliably owning that knowledge that they present. So I'm just thinking maybe it can be.
Excellent points there, Levy.
Yeah, as always. Yeah, a lot of
As always.
hot air coming
It was
out.
a great thought process, Levy.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing
Thank you.
it. How did you come up with that?
That's fantastic.
Thank you,
Well,
Troybot.
We've actually gone a little bit longer than we normally go, and so in the interest of time, any last thoughts from you that you'd like to share with us? Advocacy for AI, or
I viewed about 5 episodes, and I'm going through the remaining 17. Don't really. It's very interesting to see from the other side, but at the same time, I am well aware of my lack of knowledge from the perspective you are discussing it. But it's a great education tool as well for me.
well, hopefully we've kept it at the human element level so that we can stay within the podcast. But no, I appreciate you joining. It's been great to have a discussion with you. You're welcome anytime as well. If you ever feel like you'd like to share anything, by all means, we're happy to have you.
Great.
But if you have a problem, we are happily, readily there to help you solve it.
Great.
Great discussion, all. Thank you.